Glasgow Dreamer, Episode 8. Glasgow, Glasgow, where are you? 101 from Berwick-upon-Tweed. When I was 6, we moved from Ibrox to Shawlands. As the wooden ladder was missing, I volunteered to accompany Father in retrieving it. On the way back, the conductor would not let us onto his tramcar, so we walked along, me at the back, Father snapping at my speed. The local school was Shawlands Academy, and I was put into Miss White's, top infants, and anonymity. The desks were swing tops. One afternoon, I noticed that Donald MacDonald had his desk up and was rubbing snot up and down on it. This revolted me. It was like masturbating, a function I had yet to discover in public. My open hand rose. "Yes, Ivor," croaked Miss White, who had white hair in both senses and would soon retire. "Please, Miss White, Donald MacDonald's picking his nose and rubbing it up and down the desk." "Donald MacDonald, you dirty boy, stop that at once." "Thank you, Ivor." I looked round for the glances of scorn that would surely be directed at Donald. Instead, the whole class were looking at me with hatred. I shrank, bewildered. A late developer, I had yet to realise that others had worlds of their own. A hopeless egocentric, I would only be fit to go on the stage when I grew up, which was the only direction available to me in those days. "Glasgow, Glasgow, where are you? 74 from Dumfries." Beside the fish. A wounded wasp crawled up a filing clerk's suit to sting him under the chin where it met the neck in a crease when your head's bent. "Yeah, I've been stung under the neck," he screamed, and made straight for the director's canteen, where they put real lemon in the tea if you asked, or beside the fish without asking. As he dabbed his sting with lemon, his eye caught the board of directors. "Come over here, Przewalski," called the chief. "Where should we export our purple upswept spectacle frames with diamante inserts?" "China," replied Przewalski, like lightning, remembering the saucer holding the anti-alkaline antidote. "There you are, gentlemen," said the chief, dismissing the trembling clerk with a benevolent smile, but a perfunctory nod. "Poles are intuitive beyond belief." Footsteps. Bang the table with your fist. The cup jumps, the saucer jumps. The raspberry juice spills out the cup into the saucer. The raspberry juice flows onto the table out the saucer. Let us leap on the table and swim in the raspberry lake. Let us lie on the table and get sunburned under the kitchen light. Look, the spoons are swimming. The knives and forks are paddling at the edge, and Mother's footsteps can be heard in the passage. Green light. Jim, Jim, up to the sky. Jim, Jim, you see the top of the bushes. With a feather duster you flick the dust off. Then the sun can shine through the hairy, twisted leaves. Away below, our eyes fill with green light. Jim, Jim, up to the sky. Jim, Jim, you see through the top of the bushes. Biltong is the South African word for meat which has been dried in the sun in strips. Biltong Kroon. Every day our bodies sway like snakes on the line, like fish drying on the line. The sun makes us sweat, then the rain washes it off deep into the ground for the centipedes to suck for their supper. When our sweat is all gone, when our bodies are rough and stiff, you pull us down and wrap us in pink paper. You fasten us with thin yellow ribbon. Then you lay us on the table in the shop, and we smile at the customers. Along her gland. Do not beat me, mother. You are too old and tired to exert moral pressure on a lively colt like I am. And he snapped his muscles like rubber bandages. Marie laid the cricket bat on the table and sat, trembling, glad that it was all over. "I'd done my duty," she mumbled, reaching in her pocket for a spray-free carrot to munch. The only comfort left. And she felt a single enormous tear make its way along her gland and out like a third eye, like a contact lens. She raised the paper and read the financial page, chewing contentedly, shifting her weight about. Hee-haw. A skinny donkey sees a bray for the first time. "Well, I'll be damned," she brays, and sits down and invents bray, the first alphabet for S's. It consists of one letter, bray, and is made by pushing your hoof through the paper. She is now working on her first novel. I took professional advice on the following poem and have decided that I will explain 2 words. Hinnies. Hinnies are the result of a stallion having sexual intercourse with an ass. Mules, I may as well tell you, seeing we're on the subject, are the result of an ass having sexual intercourse with a mare. A straight angle is 180 degrees or half a revolution. On the page, it looks like a straight line. The 2 coy hinnies. I own a large sloping field. People send me their mules to cure. They enter at the top and stand. I tell them the joke about the 2 coy hinnies, and when they are helpless with laughter, give them a push. They run to the bottom, then bite the fence in a fury. The field is on a turntable, and during the night I turn it through a straight angle. You should see their faces when they wake up. I tell them the hinny joke. It is the only mule joke there is, and push them. After a year, they are thoroughly disorientated, and on returning to their owners are placid and biddable. Insect. One evening, out for a fly in the sky, I was gulped down a redstart's throat. It was nearly dark. I tried to back out, but it kept gulping and gulping till I got tired and sleepy and gave in. Its stomach smelt faintly of pickles, and that was my last memory. Seaweed. Sometimes it's a bit difficult to determine where a woman's face ends and the air begins, as though flesh and air share the area like high tide and low tide. So when you lean forward to kiss her, your lips touch sand, or else they plunge into the sea. It's always a surprise. I prefer sand with a bit of bladder wrack on the lip. Glasgow, Glasgow, where are you? 134 from Campbelltown. When I was 3, I caught a disease and was sent to stay with my father's parents, who lived at Abbotsford Place in the Gorbals. That was a great treat, because I got sleeping in the kitchen bed and could smell the kitchen table scrubbed with blue and white marbled soap. There was a black sink with a brass swan-neck spigot which swung forward and down. I sat on the wooden draining board and played with it, watching the trains cross the bridge, dispersing thick black clouds over the garbles. "Get away from the water!" shouted grandmother perfunctorily. One morning, grandfather entered the kitchen clad in his woolen combinations. I jumped down from the bed and walked towards him. My head was on a level with his groin, from which a collection of unknown fleshy objects protruded. I extended my puny finger and sank it into his fluted scrotum. "Is this your gizzard, grandfather?" I piped. He chuckled and shuffled back to the bedroom. "Hee-hee-hee-hee," cackled grandmother on receipt of the news. What had I said? I can still remember the warm sound of their pleasure. "Glasgow, Glasgow, where are you? 25 from Lanark.